Greetings all and welcome to Spooky or Nah. Today, we're looking at stories from the dark web. Not only stories, but also things that people have found on the dark web. Things that they've seen other people do, I assume. Stuff like that, like experiences, listings they've seen, basically just all kinds of stuff they've found on the dark web. If you haven't already, make sure you go check out my socials, which are Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and... Instagram, Twitter, Twitch... Oh, and there's a Discord too. I always forget those. So if you haven't already, go over, check them out. That'd be awesome. Join the community. If you haven't already and you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to see stuff about the dark web, spooky things, scary things, paranormal, supernatural, all that kinds of stuff. We talk about it over here. So get on it. You'll love it. I hope. Anyway, I'm excited to read some of these things. So without further ado, let's get into it. These creepy true stories about the deep web. Alright, the deep web will have you slowly backing away from the screen. What is the deep web? I've never heard... I kind of got stuck on the title there because I've never heard of deep web. I've heard of like the dark web, but okay, we're calling it deep web. What is the deep web? If you don't know, consider yourself lucky. The deep web consists of hidden websites that you need a special browser and a direct link to access. It's completely anonymous, so obviously some seriously heinous stuff goes down there. Selling and purchasing illicit substances is probably the most innocuous thing you can do on it. Wowzers. These aren't just stories of the deep web, these are deep web horror stories. We dug through the bowels of the internet to find some first-person experiences of some seriously messed up stuff that happened on the deep web. Just be glad we did all the research and compiled all these scary dark web stories for you in one place. Now you don't have to worry about being on an FBI watch list because you were researching these things yourself. That's very true. Before you dive in, here's two things you need to know. Tor is the browser you need to browse the deep web, and the hidden wiki is a kind of portal to different websites. Wow, okay, cool. Number 1. Recipes for human meat. In comp sci, we often got bored and deed around. One day we ran into the deep web. I don't know how you just run into the deep web, but okay. The most disturbing site we found was a comprehensive guide for cooking women. Oh, we're not talking about a short joke here. This page had information on what body types to use for specific cuts, how to prepare these cuts, how to cook the girl so she lives as long as possible. Moving on. I Spy 5 Guys. Was on TOR, browsing the usuals. Go out to eat foods at the Five Guys, come back, more TOR, find a picture of me eating at Five Guys. That's super creepy. I love that. Like, I love it. You know, not because obviously that's pretty scary for the person, but wow, that is super creepy because I hear lots of stories about, like, you know, people on the dark web being able to track you like super easily, getting your address and your phone number, finding out where you are. That's crazy. Could you imagine that? Being on the dark web, going out for dinner and then coming back and see yourself on the dark web eating dinner, like from just moments ago. Freaking creepy. Oh, this is a big one. Wow. I want to read it. They see you. This was back before Google. Web pages were, for the most part, still very basic HTML with JavaScript. Hardly anyone uses CSS. Only discussion boards and some banking sites had anything approaching mature front-end, back-end combinations, etc. Early net real deep web stories, not just one about illicit activities online. I was browsing random blogs, GeoCity sites, and the like, just going from link to link. Eventually I came upon an odd page. It appeared to be random thoughts from different people, but for the time it was very well designed. The messages seemed to be cryptic in nature, like several people trying to pass secret notes. I started through the source, and hidden in the comments of a JavaScript were various IP addresses. I gathered all of the IPs in a text file and began enumerating. Some were routers with banner messages I could telnet to, almost all at universities. Warning, this is a secure system at university, blah blah blah. The default Cisco credentials from back in the day worked on most of them, but I didn't poke around. A few of the IPs were web servers with little to nothing on them, mostly Apache or Linux or some BSD, at least one AAS server I can recall. I finally came upon a web server with a huge directory of HTML files and TIFF images, with a few smaller subdirectories containing the same. NSLookup returned no reverse records of the IP. A visual route traced it as far as Colorado. The HTML files appeared to be records... The HTML files appeared to be records a psychologist or similar mental health professional would keep, right? The images were of factors apparently both military and medical nature. Wowzers. As I browsed from a subdirectory back to the parent, at the top of was a new HTML file named something like one hello there HTML. The timestamp was from right that minute. I opened it and in plain text with the message, "We see you." No quotes or lowercase. About 15 seconds later, the server was dropped. Wow, that is super creepy. That kind of goes back to the last one, how they're kind of like monitoring you and they can see you and getting IP addresses and stuff. Like, pretty crazy. Like, I'm pretty sure you don't even have to go to the dark web to get someone's IP address, you know, which you can basically hack their computer, control their computer, as far as I know, just from their IP address. You know, if you've got the right software tools and whatever. Super creepy. This is why I would never poke around in the dark web, because, you know, if you pee someone off or like you do something or stick your nose in somewhere it's not supposed to be, and then all of a sudden you've got someone who didn't like that, who can find out your address, who can send you weird things or track you or take photos of you eating at Five Guys. Yeah, nah, not me. Not me. 4. Hello, Mr. Your last name. I posted a comment on a video, and when I went back to that page to watch the video later, someone replied to my comment saying, "That is very astute of you, Mr. Insert my last name." Crazy. Yeah, again, from your IP address, you know, you can find out all kinds of different details of someone, like their name and their email address and all kinds of different things. Like, it's pretty creepy. You're never really safe on the internet, are you? Don't click random. On the deep web, once upon a time, I was browsing TOR. Again, for everyone who's forgot already, that was TOR is the web browser you need to access the deep web. Yeah, I paraded myself over to the hidden wiki and hit the random button a few times. What happened next scared the ever-living shite out of me. There was a web page that took longer to load, even by TOR standards. And when it finally loaded in giant black letters on my screen, it said, "You better start running." Needless to say, I almost shit my pants. Anyway, haven't been back since, yada yada. 2 out of 10 would not browse again. I would say 1 out of 10 would not browse again. For just a few bitcoins. A website advertising a hitman, his services costing increasingly more bitcoins based on the type of target. I don't remember the exact amounts, but the order went something like this, from least to greatest. Civilians, police, politicians, children. Shudder. Oh, I actually, like, genuinely shuddered when I read children. That's messed up. I reckon, oh wow, I don't think there is, I mean, just saying it, if I was a hitman, I don't think there is any amount of bitcoins, money, or anything you could pay me to assassinate a child. I mean, that is just, that's a lot. Children are innocent. They have nothing to do with the quarrels of adults and should be left out of the horrors of this world. Who's there? I downloaded TOR, and within 20 minutes of downloading it and browsing random crap, I got a phone call, but there was no one there, and they just hung up after 10 seconds. I didn't even know if it was legal at the time, so that was enough to freak me out, and I stopped right there. I would stop too. I wouldn't have even done it, but I would definitely stop there if I had started it. Close call. It was my 3rd time on the deep web, and I was just looking around at sites. I found this one guy's homepage, and on the sidebar I saw a link that said, "For journalists and people new to the deep web." I clicked on it, hoping that it was interesting and helpful information. A new page opened and a picture started to load. Thank God for my slow internet, because all that loaded was the head of an old Asian man with blood on his chin. I quickly closed the tab before the rest of the image loaded. To this day I wonder what the whole picture was, but at the same time thankful I didn't see it. TLDR, my slow internet probably saved me from seeing a gruesome picture. Definitely saved you from seeing a gruesome picture. Could have been something like a decapitation or a disembowelment or something like that, because again, on the dark web, lots of illicit, terrible things are running rampant. Obviously there's no regulation, it's just whatever, everything and anything is on there, and it's a very, very terrible place. I encourage anyone who's thinking about going there to not go there, because you might see something that you will find terribly hard to forget. ISIS recruiters. I found an ISIS recruiting page on TOR, linked from the hidden wiki. Yeah, again, that's probably a place where you'd find, you know, a lot of terrorist cells and stuff trying to recruit people, because obviously if they tried to do that on the normal web, that would kind of get flagged. That's some red flags. A mysterious job opportunity. I found a posting for someone with both RN credentials and combat experience. They were offering $255k for 6 months of being out of communication and aboard a ship. Contact info was a PO box in Washington, DC. Interesting. That's weird as. So 6 months aboard a ship. That's a lot of money for 6 months. That's weird. It's almost like those private contractors, like ex-special forces people that go on ships and stuff, like oil tankers and that, to try and protect from pirates and stuff like that. I don't know if it's something like that, but I don't know why they would put it on the dark web. I mean, you're legally allowed to recruit people for those kinds of jobs, so I don't know why. Yeah, anyway, maybe it wasn't one of those things. Maybe it was something a little more sinister. Which I'm assuming it was, because it's on the freaking dark web. DIY vasectomy kit. Okay. The ubiquitous login screen. Honestly, the creepiest stuff is the login screens. Picture a page with a plain HTML password field and submit button. If you type something wrong, the page just pops back up again. No error message, nothing. Now picture hundreds of these nameless blank login screens on the deep web. What do you think is behind them? I don't know. There are so many things on the dark web, we couldn't possibly begin to understand what is behind any of it. Automatic grenade launcher. Only experimented with that stuff once. Found lots of WTF stuff. One thing that stuck around was a site selling military weapons. They had everything you could think of. I really wanted the tripod mounted grenade launcher with automation package. Wowzers. Okay, so you can buy a grenade launcher on the dark web. As I said at the start of this video, I'm not surprised. Wizard Talk Radio. I found a radio station on TOR that was just people talking to each other, thinking they were wizards. But I can't find it anymore, sadly. It just sounds like a normal podcast. So there you have it, guys. Some stories and experiences from the dark web. From people who have been there, who've done it, so you don't have to. Seriously, guys, I encourage you not to go to the dark web. You might see some memes, you might see some videos on the internet. A lot of YouTubers potentially faking going to the dark web or getting fake care packages from the dark web. Stuff like that to sort of try and break the stigma that the dark web is a really bad place. But we shouldn't be breaking that stigma because it's there for a reason, because it is a really terrible place. There are some dark things there. There are some terrible people on there. It's all kinds of messed up, and please just do not go there. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's a little bit creepy, considering that nothing on this list surprises me. I don't know if it surprises you, but certainly doesn't surprise me because I've heard some stories about the dark web and I know it's a pretty messed up place. Alright guys, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, keep it spooky.